Tom, I'm going to ask you to come up and make some comments, if you will, but want to present you on behalf of the board and staff at BVU as the 2025 recipient of the Richard W. Pogue Civic Leadership Award.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Dear friend and incredible leader in our community, so thank you.
Thank you.
Here you go. I'll take these things.
I usually don't use notes, but I usually talk much longer than I should. So, but I also hate not having a microphone that's in place because I talk with my hands, and having a note and having a microphone in my hand is not the most conducive way to do this. But I came to Northeast Ohio. I've lived in 7 states. I moved 20 times. I came to Northeast Ohio in 1986, and I had a pretty heavy nonprofit background when I came here. But I immediately saw Northeast Ohio as, I think, one of the most spectacular places there were to live. And sometimes it takes people who come from the outside to realize what we truly have here. The green space, the philanthropic community, the giving of people's time was extraordinary, beyond anything I'd ever seen. So in 1988, Don Messenger got me into Leadership Cleveland. I'm not going to say it was the best class, but I met a ton of people that really catapulted me to getting deeply involved in the community. And I associated with 5 major people that I consider mentors to me, examples of how to do it, and guides. Dick Pogue, who Biz mentioned, certainly one of those people. Randy McShepard, that he and I have done a ton of things together, and I have just incredible admiration for the time and energy that he puts in. Fran Buckholzer, who's here sitting at that table, is kind of my mother, that we've kind of had that relationship for 25 years. Just amazing person. Rob Briggs, who's not here today, who's done magnificent things in the entire Northeast Ohio community. And then Bruce Akers, who literally was the one who had the idea. BVU wasn't my idea. I was the catalyst to be able to make it happen. I'm an innovator, I'm an entrepreneur. And Bruce Akers, for 5 years, carried that idea in his mind before anything happened. So I thought what I'd like to do, for many of you that don't know the story, is tell you the history of BVU very briefly and recognize some of the people that started it, just so you understand what you're doing today, how similar it is to what the vision was established 32 years ago. So in May 1991, while I was doing the restart of American Steel and Wire, Bruce Akers and Neil Malachy, many people know him, the former president of Baldwin Wallace University, came in to see me trying to get money for the Ohio Fund for Independent Colleges. So I listened to their story. I've been on 5 college boards, spent 60 years on it. I'm totally educationally focused, and I said, absolutely, we'll give you some money. And we had a wonderful meeting. But the real outcome of that meeting was a lot more than simply that contribution, because it would have significant impact on Northeast Ohio, but on me personally especially. So several months later, Neil came to me and asked me to join the Baldwin Wallace board, where I served for 21 years. I'm an emeritus trustee. I chaired the Academic Affairs Committee for 16 years, and my wife Diane, who's here tonight, and gives me the ability and patience to allow me to do the things I do, which intrude on her weeknight and weekend time. He immediately got me involved in establishing an organization for students at Baldwin Wallace to get involved in community volunteering. So that's how I got my start in what was happening in Cleveland from a nonprofit standpoint. And of course, the next thing that happened was Bruce Akers came to meet with me, described this multi-year plan that he had festering for 5 years, trying to get this idea of building a nonprofit organization that would focus with his contemporaries from Eaton and BP at the time, and he had Society at that time, and $45,000 each that they dedicated to the situation. They were looking for an entrepreneur that they felt had the ability to go ahead and start up something like this and would have a passion for it. And so I listened to him, and I thought, here I am running a startup steel company, which at that time was no easy task. And now I was going to take on a startup of a major nonprofit organization. But I said my prayers. This is obviously what I was supposed to be doing, so I said yes. So in June of 1991, my executive assistant, Pat Libertoski, and I began assembling a top-notch board, raising additional funding, and building a strategic plan for what was called at the time the Business Volunteer Council, BVC. Two prime objectives characterize the vision: the building of a volunteer corps from Northeast Ohio companies to both help nonprofit organizations thrive while enhancing the culture of their own companies, and to train upwardly mobile members of Northeast Ohio companies, especially minorities, to become knowledgeable and contributing board members to be placed at smaller nonprofits destined to become key contributing members of increasingly larger nonprofits as they progressed up their corporate ladder. Virtually every board that I have served on and serve on today has members that have been placed by BVU, and it's an incredible sense of gratitude when I see them. And considering the many services that BVU now provides and has grown into, it is remarkable and incredible that after more than 3 decades, BVU still has as its touchstone that original vision. So I want to mention the names of the members of that original board, first meeting in March of 1992, whose job was quite different from subsequent boards. They required their networking, their passion, and commitment to actually make BVU happen. Bruce Akers, who I mentioned, and Bruce fell and broke his hip, and he's recuperating. He could not be here tonight, but he sends his best regards to everybody, was certainly the most important person. Don Messenger, who has been a friend of mine for a long time. Bill Summers, who was CEO at McDonald's at the time. Dennis Lafferty from Jones Day, who was kind of the right-hand man to Bruce's efforts. And then Bill Butler, who was the CEO at Eaton Corporation and also was the chairman at United Way at the time. And I convinced Bill to contribute furniture from United Way's donated goods clearinghouse for an office that we would establish for BVU. Bill, what, you still use it? I believe that. Bill Joseph, who was a partner at West and Hurd, and some of these people are no longer with us, but their memories and what they did are represented by you folks in this room. He provided pro bono legal work, and his expertise was nonprofit organizations. Wayne Embry was GM of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Russ Gifford, CEO of East Ohio Gas. Henry Meyer, who at the time was EVP at Society. Jackie Woods, who was the CEO at AT&T. Jackie gave us free telephone service for 2 years to be able to reduce our costs there. Brian Ratner at Forest City gave us office space in Tower City, where we were for a long period of time. Doug McCabe, who was the CEO at M.A. Hanna. Tom Greer, who was the editor of Plain Dealer. Sally Sterling from Heydrich and Struggle. She led the pro bono national search for our executive director. And then, while not a board member, Walt Stolpe, who was the CEO at APCOA, provided free employee parking. So we really had a womb to tomb philosophy where our expenses for running the operation were virtually non-existent. It's interesting that typical fashion, I think, for most people, no less than 6 of the people on that board were classmates of me in the 1988 Leadership Cleveland class, which speaks well for the whole philosophy of the way Northeast Ohio functions. So in less than a year, this board raised an additional $500,000, hired an executive director in October of 1992, and Denise O'Brien and Biz Voudouris were the next 2 members brought on board. Now, Biz mentioned something that I didn't think anybody knew, but we didn't have any money to hire people at that time. And Biz so much wanted to be involved because this was her heart and soul that she volunteered and wanted to prove to Alice that she was the right person for the job. So when we got the money, we had the ability to pay it. Fortunately for her and for us, she's been a star. And I'm being an entrepreneur. She has taken this organization. Brian took it from Alice and grew it, but the ability to keep an organization entrepreneurially focused, and to have the culture, to be able to have the camaraderie of the organization and the way they work together and the way they feel about one another, that's second to none. And she has been able to do that in an outstanding job and deserves so much credit. So we're here tonight surrounded by BVU founding board members, current and former board members, trained and placed by board members that have been trained and placed by BVU's programs during 2025, and every single person in this room is some way responsible for the ability to have recruited over 400,000 volunteers and trained and placed over 4,000 board members in less than, in a little over 30 years' time, and have helped so many other Northeast Ohio citizens. So as we approach Christmas, I think all of us, it's important to think about the movie It's a Wonderful Life. And just think, if Bruce Akers hadn't had the grit and the perseverance to be able to focus on this idea and want to make it a reality, and we weren't here today, imagine what Northeast Ohio would be like. All of you had the ability to carry it on it and grow. It is without question the most significant volunteer organization of its kind in the country, recognized by many, many people because of the people that here started, because of the people that run it, and because of the people that are carrying it on. So thank you very much for the award. I'm thrilled with it. Have a blessed holiday, and thank you so much for everything that you've done. God bless you.